They say that nice guys finish last. They say that in this cruel, fast world, you have to be selfish to survive. They tell us to look out for number one, to close our hearts, and to protect what is ours. But is that really true? Have you ever thrown a stone into a calm lake? You see the ripples, right? They start small, but they travel outward, touching parts of the shore you can't even see. Kindness is exactly like that stone. We often think that when we do something good for someone else, the moment ends there. We help, they say thank you, and we walk away. But what if I told you that the energy you put out into the world never actually disappears? What if I told you that kindness has a memory? Today, I want to tell you the story of a man named Arthur, a man who was forgotten by the world, a man who gave away the last thing he had with zero hope of getting anything in return. He didn't know it, but his simple act of kindness began a journey that would travel through the lives of strangers, through closed doors, and eventually circle all the way back to save his life when he least expected it. If you are feeling unappreciated today, or if you feel like your good heart is being taken for granted, listen closely. This story is for you. Arthur was 74 years old, and he lived his life to the sound of ticking. He owned a small, dusty shop called Arthur's Timepieces on the edge of the city. It was one of those places that smelled like old wood, oil, and memories. For 50 years, Arthur had fixed watches, grandfather clocks, and pocket watches. He was a master. He believed that a broken clock wasn't trash, it was just a heart that had forgotten how to beat. But the world outside Arthur's shop had changed. People didn't fix things anymore. When a watch broke, they threw it away and bought a smartwatch. When a clock stopped, they checked their phones. Arthur's customers had disappeared, one by one. And then the letter came. It was a Tuesday afternoon, gray and rainy. The postman slid a red envelope under the door. It wasn't a greeting card. It was an eviction notice. The building had been bought by a massive real estate company called Horizon Developers. They wanted to tear down Arthur's old shop to build a fancy parking lot for a new shopping mall. They gave him 30 days. That was it. 30 days to pack up 50 years of life. Arthur sat on his wooden stool, holding the letter. His hands were shaking. He had no savings. He had no family. This shop was his home, his history, his everything. Without it, he would be on the street. For weeks, he tried to fight it. He called the company, but they just put him on hold. He wrote letters, but nobody answered. He was just an old man in the way of progress. By the last week, Arthur had given up. He started packing his tools into cardboard boxes. The shop, which used to be full of the happy sound of ticking, was now silent. He felt invisible. He felt like the world had already decided he was useless. He had 3 days left before the bulldozers came. It was late evening, 2 days before the eviction. The rain was pouring down against the glass, hammering on the roof. Arthur was just about to turn off the lights and lock the door for the night. Suddenly, the door burst open. A gust of cold wind and rain blew in. Standing there was a young woman. She was soaked to the bone. Her hair was plastered to her face, and she was shivering uncontrollably. But it wasn't just the cold. She was crying. "Please," she gasped, her voice breaking. "Please, are you still open?" Arthur looked at his packed boxes. He looked at the closed sign in his hand. He was tired. His back ached. He was losing his shop in 48 hours. He had every reason to say, "Sorry, miss, I'm closed forever." But Arthur couldn't turn away a tear. "Come in, child. Get out of the rain." The woman stepped in, dripping water onto the floor. She walked to the counter and unwrapped a wet towel she was holding. Inside was an old wooden music box. It was shattered. The lid is cracked, and the little dancer inside was bent sideways. "I went to 3 other shops," the woman sobbed. "They all laughed at me. They said it's junk. They said to buy a new one. But I can't. This was my mother's. She passed away last week. This is the only thing I have left of her voice. It used to play her favorite song." She looked up at Arthur with desperate eyes. "Please, can you fix it? I don't have much money, but I'll pay whatever I can." Arthur looked at the music box. It was in bad shape. The mechanism was rusted and snapped. It would take hours of delicate work. It would require parts that haven't been made since the 1980s. Arthur looked at the clock on the wall. It was 9 p.m. He needed to pack. He needed to sleep. But then he looked at the woman's hands. They were trembling, just like his hands did when he opened the eviction letter. He saw that same fear of losing something precious. Arthur sighed. He took off his coat and put his magnifying glasses back on. "Keep your money," Arthur grumbled gently. "Sit down. This is going to take a while." For the next 6 hours, Arthur didn't move. He worked through the night. The storm raged outside, but inside there was only the sound of tiny tools clicking against metal. Arthur used his best gears, parts he had been saving for years. He glued the wood, he realigned the tiny dancer. His eyes burned, his fingers cramped, but he didn't stop. At 3 a.m., he turned the key. Ting, ting, ting. A soft, beautiful melody filled the dusty room. La vie en rose. The little dancer spun perfectly. The woman burst into fresh tears, but these weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of pure relief. She pressed the box to her chest as if it were a living thing. "Thank you," she whispered. "You have no idea. You just gave me my mother back." She tried to hand him a crumpled $50 bill. Arthur pushed her hand away gently. "I don't need it. The eviction is in 2 days. $50 won't save this place. Just take care of it. Memories are fragile things." The woman looked at him, confused. She saw the boxes. She saw the sadness in his eyes. She wanted to ask more, but Arthur ushered her out into the night. "Go on now," he said, "before the rain starts again." She left. Arthur locked the door, collapsed onto his chair, and fell asleep right there on the counter. The next morning came too fast. It was the final day. The day before the locksmiths would come to change the locks. Arthur was putting the last few clocks into a box when a black luxury car pulled up to the curb. Arthur's heart sank. It was them, the developers. The door opened and a man stepped out. He was tall, wearing a suit that cost more than Arthur made in a year. He had gray hair and a face made of stone. This was Mr. Sterling, the CEO of Horizon Developers, the man who signed the eviction notice. He walked into the shop, looking around with a sneer. He didn't look at Arthur. He looked at the walls, measuring the space. "Smaller than I thought," Sterling said to his assistant. "Have the demolition crew here by 8 a.m. tomorrow. I want this gone by noon." Arthur stood in the corner, holding a picture frame. He wanted to scream. He wanted to shout, but he just felt defeated. "Excuse me," Arthur said, his voice shaking. I just need a little more time to move the grandfather clock. It's heavy." Mr. Sterling turned and looked at Arthur for the first time. His eyes were cold. "You had 30 days, old man. If it's not out by tomorrow, it goes to the dump with the rubble." He turned to leave. He didn't care. To him, Arthur was just dust. But just as Mr. Sterling reached for the door handle, his phone rang. He stopped. He answered it, looking annoyed. "Yes? Elizabeth, I'm busy. I'm at the site." "What? You're where?" Mr. Sterling paused. He looked confused. "You're outside?" The shop door opened again, and in walked the young woman from the night before. She looked different. She was dressed in professional clothes, looking sharp, but when she saw Arthur, her face lit up. "Dad," she said, looking at Mr. Sterling, "this is him. This is the man I told you about." Mr. Sterling looked at his daughter, then at Arthur. "Him? The tenant we are kicking out?" "Dad, listen to me," Elizabeth said firmly. She reached into her bag and pulled out the wooden music box. Mr. Sterling froze. His face, which had been made of stone a moment ago, suddenly went pale. He stared at the box. "Is that," he stammered, "is that your mother's box? The one that was crushed in the accident?" "Yes," Elizabeth said. "I thought it was gone forever, Dad. I took it everywhere. Nobody could fix it. They said it was trash." She walked over to Arthur and put a hand on his shoulder. "But this man, he stayed up until 3 a.m. He used his own parts. He didn't charge me a penny. He told me that memories are too important to throw away." Elizabeth turned the key. Ding, ding, ding. The melody of La Vie en Rose floated through the silence of the shop. Mr. Sterling closed his eyes. For a moment, the arrogant CEO vanished. In his place stood a man who missed his wife, a man who had buried his grief under piles of money and concrete. He remembered that song. It was the song they danced to at their wedding. A single tear rolled down Mr. Sterling's cheek. He quickly wiped it away, but everyone saw it. The song finished. The silence in the room was heavy. Mr. Sterling walked up to the counter. He ran his hand over the smooth wood of the music box. He looked at the tiny, perfect repair work. He saw the care. He saw the love that had been poured into a stranger's object. Then he looked at Arthur, really looked at him. "You did this?" Sterling asked, his voice rough. "I did," Arthur replied quietly. "It was a beautiful piece. It deserved to be saved." "You knew you were being evicted today," Sterling said. "You knew you had nothing. Why did you help her?" Arthur shrugged. "Because she was crying. And because, well, sir, we are put on this earth to fix things, not to break them." Mr. Sterling stood there for a long time. He looked at the eviction notice lying on the counter. He looked at the music box. He looked at his daughter, who was smiling at him. He reached into his pocket, took out his phone, and called his office. "Cancel the demolition," he said. "Sir?" the voice on the phone asked. "But the parking lot." "I said cancel it," Sterling barked. "Change the plans. Build around it. The shop stays." He hung up. He picked up the eviction notice from the counter and ripped it in half. "Arthur," Mr. Sterling said, "your rent is frozen. You stay here as long as you want. And I have a collection of antique clocks at home. My wife loved them. They haven't worked in years. I'd like to hire you to restore them. All of them." Arthur's knees went weak. He grabbed the counter to steady himself. "Thank you," Arthur whispered. "Thank you." "No," Sterling shook his head. "Thank you. You saved something money couldn't buy." Arthur didn't lose his shop that day. In fact, Arthur's timepieces became famous. Mr. Sterling told his rich friends about the master craftsman, and soon Arthur had more work than he could handle. But he never changed. He was still the same old man, sitting on his stool, fixing hearts that had forgotten how to beat. My friends, Arthur didn't fix that music box to save his shop. He didn't know who that woman was. He didn't know she was the daughter of the man who held his fate in his hands. He helped her simply because it was the right thing to do. You see, kindness is a boomerang. You throw it out into the world, often into the dark, often without anyone seeing. And sometimes it feels like it's gone forever. You feel like you wasted your time. But kindness always travels. It touches one life, which touches another, until finally, when you are standing in your darkest moment, it comes back to you. So be kind. Be kind to the rude person. Be kind to the stranger. Be kind when you are tired. Because you never know, the person you help today might be the only one who can save you tomorrow. This is the story of how a broken music box fixed a broken life. What kindness will you throw into the world today?